Let's talk about the data protection settings. As part of your Zero Trust Framework workshop, you're going to go through the different settings. One of the specific areas part of the Zero Trust workshop is the data protection. So I'm going to spend some time here talking to you about the data protection and how can we enhance the overall experience inside the data protection. When we think about your app protection policy, you're going to think about the different settings or the data requirements that you may have. I give you the story of the Outlook and Teams conversation within the application, copy and sharing the information between one or another. And copy and paste is so common that a lot of our end users will not realize that they are actually doing it. So it's super important to ensure that those applications are protected from that specific area. When we look at copy and paste, there's different settings that can actually enhance the overall experience. When I go to the data protection framework levels, I'm going to explain the different levels and how can you potentially, through copy and paste, can enhance the overall security. But again, copy and paste becomes a very interesting aspect of it. The other area is around save. Where do I want to save the data? I give you the Outlook and Teams example. I'm going to give you the example of Word. I'm going to open an important document. I'm going to work on that document as I travel. Maybe I'm in a train, or maybe I'm in the plane, and maybe I'm in the hotel with Wi-Fi. And I don't want to use my computer to edit this document because this document may need to meet a deadline. When I'm working in that document, I have the ability to save this document. If you have created the proper internet protection policy through the configuration of Save As, we can control where I'm going to be able to save that document. In reality, because it's corporate data, I want to save that document in OneDrive, or I want to save that document in my local phone. Now, what option should I let the users do? Do I want to let them save it on OneDrive and SharePoint, or do I want to let them save it in the local phone? In reality, through the Internet Protection Policy, you can decide what are those different options. If you ask me, I'm going to only make sure that that document is only saved on SharePoint or OneDrive. I don't want that user to save that document in their phone. So I think it becomes a very important area that we need to consider as we review the different requirements on accessibility of my data. Then let's think about encrypting the data. As each of our different applications are being consumed and used in the mobile devices, it's going to store a little bit of data, maybe on the temporary side, or maybe some app configuration specific data that is stored in that device itself. I want to encrypt that data. Through the Intune App Protection Policy, I have the ability to select what encryptions I'm going to allow inside these different applications. So I recommend you review the app protection policy and review the encryption levels. Now, if you want to also enhance the overall encryption level of that device, you can potentially use an app configuration policy to use a different level of encryption. Maybe there's a setting for that app that will guarantee an enhancement of the encryption level as well. So again, Intune App Protection Policies and the data requirement is all about analyzing the different functionalities of the app and what kind of filters I'm going to allow them. One good example on the filters to allow is going to be the print option. Do I want them to print this document while they're at home, or I'm going to prevent that? Maybe through Edge, they access a corporate website. Do I want to let them print that corporate website in their local home, or I'm going to prevent that? Through Intune App Protection Policies, we have the ability to exactly control whether or not we want to print those. So again, I mentioned a couple things to go around the data requirement. I talk about copy and paste in that section. I'll talk about the save as. I talk about actually the encryption, or whether or not I want to control the different prints. Now let's talk about the access requirement section. Another great section of the Zero Trust workshop for us to go to. In access requirements, when we talk about conditional access initially, we validated the identity. But now, we have validated the identity and everything is going as normal. They open and close the application as many times as they want. Now through the access requirement, I'm going to validate that MFA is in place, for example, and that they are giving me a token to ensure that their identity is revalidated through the access requirements. As they go into the mobile devices, it's also important to validate another level of PIN. I want to put maybe a 6-digit PIN, or maybe I want to put an 8-digit PIN. Just another great example to confirm that that person is who they are. If we want to also enhance that overall experience, we can decide to use biometric. We want to use their fingerprint to ensure that, hey, you are actually you, and you can now access this application. So access requirement is all about enhancing the overall security of that application itself. While I mentioned the conditional access will validate the policy and will ensure that there is an app protection policy in place, the access requirement is constantly validating that that identity has been confirmed and they can definitely access the application. This is another great step for you to review as part of your app protection policy.